Light on, right?
We did that
Just
today.
show me the first step one by one, so I can
The
show
lights should stay in auto. We turned them on today because we were wanting to be able to see what was going on. But they'll come on their own at 6 a.m.
This pretty much always stays in auto.
Yeah, okay. The first thing in the morning, can you show me one step by step so I can,
So where do you want me to start?
like, the start for beginning?
Oh, the very
Yeah,
beginning?
very beginning.
Okay, so 15 minutes prior to lights come on, whoever is feeding is going to come in here and it's going to hit the hen switch on. That's going to run your chain feeders for both hens.
Để em nghe, em nghe.
Then someone needs to
Okay.
verify that each motor's running.
Yes, and they'll have to go and watch the feed coming out of the chains. They come out on the back side right here. Feed always comes out towards the outside wall. So they come in, and so they just need to check and make sure the chains are running. The second, so that will be on both sides. So they'll walk across, okay, feed's running out, feed's running out. The second thing is on with, we call these your call motors up top, and there's a little red light on the other side, and a little indicator. She'll know what I'm talking about. If this hopper is empty and you just started feeding, sometimes you'll have to go in here and hit this because there's a sensor in there, an overload sensor, and it protects that motor from running. And so you'll hit it, and it'll make the feed drop down, and then it'll make the motor run again. So then you got all your hen feed going out. This is with lights off. When the lights come on, you will lower your rooster feed line with that switch dangling in the middle. This
Big rooster.
this switch right here will just until the rooster line goes all the way down, and then that will feed the roosters. And you'll hold it in the up position till it goes all the way up. It will stop automatically. There's a little micro switch in that motor right there in the cylinder. You can take that black cover off and you can move it around and adjust it. So if you ever have a problem with it not wanting to stop or going too low, you can play with that switch up in there. So now you have your rooster line up. Next thing to do is go outside on the hen weigh bin and fill up the total amount of feed for that day or for the next day's feeding. So you'll let that fill up. That will take maybe 20-30 minutes depending on how much feed. Once that total amount of feed is filled up, you will slide it down the amount that's supposed to go to the roosters. Actually, before you slide it down, come to this valve right here, and you'll turn it on right now. If you look, you can see the solid plate, and so that means this valve's on right now. This will be off. See that little hole that's came out? So that shut it off. So feed would run to the hen hopper right now. We got feed weighed up. We're about to fill up the rooster system, so we need to open this. So we open it. We go outside, we take the weight on the bin, and we'll slide down the amount for the roosters, which should be the hen amount. Okay, so this would be your total amount on the scale, and then you would slide it down to
That's total.
yeah, both of those are total. You would deduct that amount. That amount is also written on the production charts. They'll have it. Oops, sorry. There would be a hen amount written, and a rooster amount, and a total amount. They don't really have to worry about the rooster amount. They just need to weigh up the bin to the total amount, and then slide it down to the number that says for the hens. That will automatically deduct how much feed is supposed to go to roosters. So when you slide that weight down and you let go of that scale, it will automatically start trying to put feed into the system, and it will dump feed into the rooster line. So that's trying to pump, let's say hypothetically 300 pounds into that system. Oh, and make sure that switch says rooster only before you do that.
Well, rooster only.
Rooster only. So rooster only, valve open, slide the weight. That's the proper order. So rooster
So
only.
now do we ready to slide the weight now or not?
I kind of got out of order. So do this, open the valve, then slide the weight for the rooster feed. So then 300 pounds hypothetically is going to go into the rooster hopper. It's going to start filling it up, and then you would hit the rooster switch right there. You'd flip it to on, which will go up, and that would start the call motors, and that pulls the feed out of that hopper all the way down to the ends. Once that has ran for a while and the lines in the hopper are empty, you can tell the lines are empty when you tap on them. They'll have a really hollow sound on it, and you'll know all the feeds into the pans. Once that's done, you can turn that off, go to your valve, close this valve like that, put this switch to both, and then go out to the scale and slide it down to 0. And that will run feed into both of these hoppers. And once these hoppers get full, this cord right here goes to a paddle switch that's mounted right there. And when it gets full, this paddle switch activates and it shuts that motor off. When you come in the morning and you run feed, it gets low. If that scale is set to 0, it will call more feed in here. This motor will keep trying to call feed until that scale tells it to stop. So that's how that works. And that would be the end of the feeding that day. And you start all over the next day.
Yeah. But whenever we do the feed the rooster, make sure we turn all the way down, right? And how about the hen? Hen all the way up?
When you're done with the roosters, you'll flip it back to both, close the valve in the ceiling, and slide the scale to 0, and then that will put feed into this hopper and that hopper over there.
But you say the problem we have, like why they don't have enough, is why is it? Because they put in the middle?
This is a 2-position switch. It only has 1 or 2. So it's on the rooster or both. What commonly happens is this switch will stay in the both mode, and when you initially weight up the rooster amount, it splits it. So that motor puts feed in there, and then the other one puts it in the hopper.
Okay. Chị, mỗi lần mà chị làm cái rooster á, là chị turn all the way down nè. Okay? Cái rooster là gà trống á, là chị bỏ all the way down. But whenever it's done with the rooster, we have to turn up.
Correct. Once the
Đi đây rồi nè. Xuống là gà trống nè, lên là gà mái.
Nhưng mà some reason á, lúc mà chị tắt cái này á, chị còn để dưới này, bởi vậy á, cái đồ ăn nó vẫn đi vô cái chuồng của con trống mà nó không có vô con mái, bởi vậy nó không có đủ cân lượng. Nhớ là make sure hồi nào mà fix cái gà rooster xong rồi để bật lên ngay này, đúng không? I told them the reason why is they have some have the food, some not, because like I forgot to turn all the way up. Whenever turn down, whenever you fix the rooster, like gà trống, tell the gà trống, mean the rooster. Yeah. Yeah, that's what the problem we have.
That's common. If you recognize it, the thing that needs to happen if you've already made the mistake, you need to run out your hen feed that morning, and then you need to go on the scale. These are the smaller bins. They hold roughly about 150 to 200 pounds. So that amount needs to be added to your scale and hit the fill button, and then run that extra amount back into your roosters. So if you made a mistake and you realize, oh, we gave the hens the extra 150 pounds, then you need to give that 150 pounds back to your roosters.
Dạ. Chị, nếu mà lỡ ví dụ như chị lỡ quên cái nước chó cho con gà trống rồi máy nó nhiều quá thì chị ra một cái cặp trong nó cao có để xuống trong gà trống chặt lại.
This is where it kicked on. Nothing would happen with your curtains. If your generator failed within 5 minutes, this is going to send a signal to your solenoid right here.
Dạ.
This is a magnet. As long as you've got power, that magnet
Will be energized.
As soon as you lose power after that 5-minute times out, that magnet will flip open. This winch should be open, and there should be a string that goes around this and this handle. And after, you know, in an emergency, if you have no power or it gets way too hot, this will just start to free spool, and this whole curtain will fall down for the entire length of the
Rồi
house.
cái màn nó kêu nếu như mà mình bị tắt điện bị emergency mà cái này nó mình có cái hệ thống máy điện nó
Yeah,
tự động
grab that
tự động.
string though.
Mà nếu mà trong vòng 5 phút nó không thấy thì cái này nó bật ra thì chị phải lấy quay tay á, chị quay xuống để cho mấy cái hàng quay tay để cho nó hạ hết cái màn xuống. Cái đó là nó có cái cho gà nó khỏi chết, hiểu không? Cái đó là ví dụ cái trường hợp
Từ đó từ bữa giờ nó chưa chị.
bây giờ thằng này
This is an example. You need a piece of pipe that also goes on here. This piece of it could be conduit. It could be a small PVC pipe that needs to go in between this, like this. So what happens is this string sits here and holds on that. This is properly on.
quay này.
That's improper. This could fall and it would still hold your curtain up. So make sure they put it around the middle right here and they go down there. And then when this drops, it falls. If you don't have the pipe, what commonly happens is this string will sling around and it usually goes about right there, just like that. And it will actually bind that up as that thing's spinning and it won't let this thing fall. Actually, let's find out real quick. Usually this is what happens. So if you took it,
Anh như vừa rồi là vừa rồi.
that's what happens. So if you put the pipe on there, the pipe helps the string to fly off, and it helps this handle stay free. See now it wants to roll.
There's a lock. There's a locking mechanism. So if you're trying to set it or you don't want the curtains to fall, that lock has got to be set. But to be armed properly, you know, once your curtain minder is set, all of these have the string on it, that lock has got to be in the open position. And the only thing holding is this magnet. And in an emergency, that magnet goes, this goes, and then it flies, and hopefully everything goes down to keep your birds comfortable.
Nói là nếu mà trường hợp khẩn cấp á, mà cái điện không có, cái ấy không có thì mình phải vô mình quay tay. Nó đây là cái nhưng mà nó có cái lock ở đây. Nếu như là để cho cái này nó khỏi rớt xuống, mấy cái tấm bạc nó khỏi rớt xuống. Nhưng mà ví dụ như mình ấy thì mình mở cái lock ra, mình quay.
This is the computer that controls the fans and some of the feeding programs, but mainly your climate inside the house. So just read current conditions. That's your screen that's going to come up. These are your temperature sensors that are in the houses. They come down on the water line. They're a little bitty gray box with a little metal probe. And these telephone wires is where they're going. They go all the way down there. And there's 4 of them. So there'll be 1, roughly 2, 3, and then 4 all the way down there. These temperatures come back and they tell the house how to operate. So this will be your average temperature right there. And then right underneath, this is your set temperature. Your set temperature is what we're trying to keep the house at. So if it's really hot, it's going to turn on more fans. If it gets below 68 degrees, it's going to go into what we call min vent. It's going to turn the fans on and turn the fans
Hồi đó
off.
thì lên cơm ăn cơm với một
So if you're ever wondering how hot it is or making sure everything's working, this is your main screen that you're going to look at. And then you come down here. I'll show you the main settings in here. This is your light clock. So spare clock when summer comes around, that's going to be your cool pad settings. But we'll talk about that later. This is your current light clock. Right now we're currently day 6 and it's saying, hey, lights are going to come on at 6 a.m. They're going to shut off at 8. If you scroll down, you'll see all the programs. So from day 1, it's going to be 6 a.m. to 8. Your next light change is 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on day 14 according to the computer. Then the last and final change is going to be from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. on day 28. So if they're wondering when I have to come in here and feed earlier, when it's day 27, it's going to shut off at 9 o'clock at night, and then day 28, the very next morning, it's going to shut on at 5 a.m. So they'll have to be here at 4:45 when that computer shows day 28. And if you need to find the day, you hit curve settings, temperature curve, and it'll tell you right there, day 6. So just to do that again, if this is your main screen, hit curve settings, set temperature curve, hit the right arrow, and look, it'll say day 6. That will tell you how many. So then you can go back to your light clock. You can scroll down to your program. There's day 1. There's day 14. Oh, okay, day 28. And I'm at day 6 right now. So no light change until day 28. So that's what's going to happen. But everything else we can discuss later as it arises, because there's a lot to this computer to learn. But that's the main things. The temperature is the main thing to look at, and then history. You can always hit history. Same thing. Hit toggle. That tells you how cold it got. This tells you how hot it got. And then these are all relays at the bottom. That's how this computer works. They take wires. They take power. It has a program in here, and this is more the, I guess you could say, the hardware side of it. And so that tunnel fan is in auto. So auto says, hey, I want you to run what the computer's telling it, but for some reason, if you needed to manually do it, it'll go off. This is the one they need to work on. But see how that light came on? That light indicates I activated a fan down there. So I manually cut this fan on right now. And then this is off, so this means the computer will not run that set of fans regardless. And that means if it gets hot enough, it's going to run these fans as well. So, and then output temperatures. There's your set temperature, and this is how the fans come on. So at 70 degrees, tunnel fan 5, that group of fans, each tunnel fan on here is 2 fans down there. So that means tunnel fan, it's in auto right now. So at 70 degrees, it's going to come on. If you look at my current temperature, it says I'm 73.5. So that makes sense. 73.5, that means I should have tunnel fan 5 on. This one says it cuts on at 72 degrees, so I should have tunnel fan 4 on. So down there I should have 4 fans running right now. I have 2 red indicators which tell me they're working, and if I look down there on the ends, I can count and I can see 4 fans are running. So I know everything's working correctly.
Con gà mà nó bỏ.
That tells you how much pressure it tells me I have water coming into this water regulator, and it goes up and it tells me, hey, that's how much pressure I have going to this, all these nipples on that water line. generally on your farm you have what's called an on-demand system, and this is going to be high in the morning, and then say maybe about 8, 9 o'clock, this should go down to about here. So what that does is it gives the hens more pressure so they can get more water when they're thirsty. But then when they back off on it, it lowers the pressure automatically inside your house. You're the only farm that has that. So just so you know.
Why that difficult?
No, it's easy. It's a good system to have. It helps a little bit. If this stays like this all day, that's not good.
No.
This is too much pressure because what happens is they like to leak really bad, and the first indication is all this is going to be wet, and you'll have to lower this immediately.
How we load it?
You would go inside your egg workroom. There's a pressure that controls it. Nancy, on your farm, yours gets adjusted right here. This is the regulator
Yeah.
pressure for this one. But your farm, you will go inside the egg workroom. There's a main regulator, and it's got a pressure gauge, and you will lower that pressure if it stays high like this. But generally, if
What
it's,
time they supposed to be down?
I think it's about 8 o'clock.
At
somewhere
9?
around 8 or 9. somewhere
In
there.
the morning or at
In the morning.
chị coi nếu mà chị đi bình thường nó vậy cỡ 8-9 giờ nó phải cái bo này nó phải xuống dưới như vậy.
Nước hả? Một nước
À,
hả?
cái bình thường á từ sáng cho nó ăn là nó như vậy, nhưng mà buổi 8 giờ là chị phải coi cái bo nó rớt xuống vậy. Nếu mà nó vẫn còn như vậy á thì chị báo cho em đi vô trong
nó
cái
có
phòng
vấn đề.
nãy á, là vặn cái kia cho nó xuống. Dạ.
Okay.
Còn ai hỏi nó cái nước này là tự động kia vào đây.
She said dễ nhìn
Yeah,
thấy.
they'll have algae build up
Cái
in
thằng
here.
đâu?
And I went to a farm the other day, and I was just checking it, and I said, "What's wrong?" And I went and I said, "No water." I said, "What happened?" Well, when we cleaned the tube, this ball was all the way down here. So that tells me there's no water pressure on that water
Nếu
line.
mà cái này mà nó rớt xuống này á là nó có vấn đề đó. Dạ.
And so when you keep them clean, as you're in here walking eggs and picking them up and what have you, you can see that float ball really easy, and it will tell you faster, oh, I have a water problem, I need to fix this really quick. Same thing, if maybe it got bumped, maybe it's too high. If it's super high, all the way out here, this is a valve. This is a flush valve. And what this does is it will run the full amount of pressure on this water line. You usually have about maybe 20 pounds of PSI, maybe 15 depending on each house that comes into this. This regulator puts it down to about 3 to 5 pounds. This bypasses it, so if you watch these balls, they're going to float all the way to the top when I turn it on flush.
Dạ.
So that's flush.
Dạ. Ở nói nếu mà nó thấy nó lên trên đó là
So now I just put 20 to 15 pounds of pressure on that water line. See how it shoots out real quick? And then, so the short one right here, when that's up, that means the regulator is working. When the long one is up, that means you're in flush mode. So if they see it super hot, and it'll take it a minute for this ball to go back down for them to drink. But that will tell you, oh, I need to turn that valve back on.
Nếu mà nó lên cao quá thì phải vặn xuống cho nó tới vặn cái này.
Cindy, do you know if y'all have any extra drinker nipples to replace ones that are worn out?
Some of them worn out.
Look, yeah, some are worn out. There's some over on that side that are leaking. These cost about $2 a piece, but you need to have quite a few extra to replace them because they will break. They're made out of
D&D
plastic.
they have it.
D&D has it.
Yeah, you can call.
But you'll need to make sure you've got, you know, a couple dozen extra ones because
Yeah.
there's already a few
You have
leaking.
time-
If
you
they
can
continue to
explain the
leak,
deal
they'll make
to
you pull those down with your thumbs. 2 tabs on the other side. And there's a hole right there. This goes in the hole, and then you just put that back in.
This is what I was explaining. Your dad can shut this line off, and when chickens are here, y'all can change them.
It's best to do the
work
2
on
on one side. Probably the
And when if you don't finish that day, you can just turn them back on, and then the next day you take them back. So he doesn't have to do that right now. He can do this with chickens.
I think they build a lot
I
of
figure
power.
you have strong hands. You work with your hands, don't you? Tough to get on and off there, but
Yeah.
it's not complicated.
Yeah. Okay, I will go order it at the light.
Nên là khi nào bà vô cái cánh cái mới được.
But right there in that